Good morning, everybody. I said good morning, everyone, is what it says here, so I apologize. It is my honor to introduce the 8th grade speech. A beloved Willow tradition, each of our graduates brings a distinctive story and insight to their collective Willow experience. A special thanks to Dr. Corey Abate, for her guidance in helping our 8th graders craft this year's speech. Just as a reminder, please hold your applause to the end of the speech, and that is up to including when Lola Pilati will finish with the close. So, with no further ado.
Being presented with the challenge of choosing the theme that best represents our class for the graduation speech is just one of many examples of how Willow's class of 2022 has operated like a team. Though small in number, our class is filled with many strong opinions, and I'm not going to lie, coming to an agreement on our theme met with quite a few bumps in the road. However, we kept a clear focus on our goal and collaboratively worked together to determine that the best theme to represent our class was a team. Willow has taught us the fundamental skills of a successful team: commitment, control, and trust, by using concepts like the virtues programs and having teachers to coach us every step of the way. Although some team members have come and gone over the years, our small class is what allowed us to create these unbreakable bonds with one another. Whether joining our team a decade ago or just joining last year, having a team with only 6 people make roles even more crucial. Each member of the class contributes to the team in their own unique way and has been able to learn and teach from others. Yet, everything everyone does in this class is to protect, help, and encourage one another. So, how have we become this team? We have learned to work well together and to thrive as one, to work as a group. Although we will not be on the same team next year, we will remember the lessons and skills we have learned in our time at Willow, and we will always rely on this team and the memories we have built together. I am now happy to present my teammates and the 8th grade speech.
When I was younger, recess was always my favorite time of the day because I could run around with my friends, play on the slides, and go to a very special spot in the back of the woods where I would sell my mud pies and mud balls in exchange for berries. Before Willow, I never really enjoyed getting muddy until I found out that Willow actually encourages students to get muddy. I heard that the middle schoolers made mud balls of their own, so I tried it. I started to make mud balls every day. I kept coming back to this activity because it was something new for me, something I've never tried before. I loved it, and I looked forward to going to that special spot in the back of the woods. When I made mud balls, I didn't really care if all the boys were making fun of me or if everyone was staring, because it was what I loved to do. Stereotypically, girls do not want anything to do with mud, but I did, along with most of the girls in my 2nd grade class. However, my best friend's interests lead more towards soccer and tetherball. Making mud balls was complicated because of the fact that my best friend did not share the same interests in mud balls as I did. If you don't make mud balls with me, I won't be your friend anymore. I said this to Julia every time she didn't want to play in the mud with me. She always responded with, "Fine, as long as you play tetherball with me." Of course, this is not the best tactic to get someone to do something they don't want to do, but it worked for me. It was a compromise because Julia and I had to go everywhere together, so we separated our different interests and made it work. When our 2nd grade teacher asked why Julia and I were covered in mud after recess, I always answered with, "Mud pies!" And Julia would roll her eyes at me, showing that if we had played tetherball like she wanted to do, the muddiness could have been prevented. The mud ball business was very successful, actually. It taught me how to work well with others, and it improved my cooperation skills. So, what did I learn? Well, I learned that the biggest part of a team is compromise, and my class over the years has taught me this. I also learned that sometimes a team starts with no one other than myself. If I ever want to try new things, I shouldn't wait for an invitation. I should just jump right in and try it. What started with mud balls led to me being able to push myself to try new things, and that's exactly what I did when I auditioned for Mayo Performing Arts Center Company in September. I was so nervous and didn't want to go, but my mom pushed me because she told me I would regret not auditioning and being company would lead to so many new experiences, and it did. When I found out I got accepted, I was extremely happy. This experience led to meeting so many new friends and it improved my teamwork skills. Finally, now I know that teams can be on stage, teams can be in the classroom, and teams can be making mud balls.
We called ourselves the Power Rangers. Each of us had a different color. I, of course, was blue. I was in 5th grade at wellness class, and we were playing my favorite game, Defend the Pins. I always played as defender, partly because I was good as defender, partly because I was too scared of getting the ball I threw caught and having to wait back to get back in the game. I also always had my 2 special blue dodgeballs that I always defended with. They were my lucky dodgeballs. I was pretty happy about my team since we had a lot of athletic kids. After the first round, we became a power team. We played a few more rounds and we won again. We were unbeatable. 1 girl and I were defenders, while the other 3 were on offense. We made a great team, in my opinion, the best I have ever been on. It wasn't just that we were good at our individual positions, though. We worked great together. We helped each other. It was one of the first times I felt included in something this much. At the end of the game, and after we won a couple more times and beat the other team, we came together in a little group to celebrate. Someone said, "We're like the Power Rangers." At first, I was a little confused, but I understood what they meant. We put our dodgeballs together, like how some teams put their hands together in the middle, and then someone said something like, "Power Rangers on 3, and yelled, 1, 2, 3, Power Rangers. I had never been part of a team with a cool name, and with people I actually liked, and with a team that I actually felt included in. I always envied people that were part of a team like that, and I finally had it. At that moment, it didn't matter to me that they were all leaving next year. All that mattered to me was that moment when I felt truly part of something that was special. I know that when I leave Willow and am in high school, I'll meet a new group of Power Rangers and feel a part of a team again, as long as I still get to be blue.
Standing on the shores of the lake at Camp Burney, the middle school adventure trip location. It was a perfect day for fishing. Cloudy, overcast skies with temperatures in the 70s. With the rod over his right shoulder, Henry hurled the fly toward the water. He landed with a plunk. Since it was a large-weighted streamer, it was the perfect searching pattern for this cloudy day. Suddenly, there was tension at the end of the line. "Set the hook," I said. As he pulled up with excitement, Henry landed the fish on the bank with a wide smile on his face. What makes this story so special to me is that Henry was an 8th grader and I was just a 6th grader, yet the 8th graders included me in having a great time that weekend. Whether it was at the lunch table, eating, telling stories, or at the ropes course, working as a team to get across the obstacles. At night, the 8th graders even let me sleep on their side of the cabin. In a typical middle school, you'd think that a group of 8th graders wouldn't allow me, a 6th grader, to join them, but they did. So there I found myself as part of the 8th grade class, staying up late, talking, telling stories, and making jokes. And this inclusion occurred throughout the rest of the year. Regardless of our age, we were all part of the same middle school team. Now as an 8th grader myself, I try to include others in activities because I know the effects of these simple actions. At recess on the soccer field, I pass the ball to make sure that everyone is involved in the game. When playing knockout at the basketball hoops, I try to encourage the younger kids. And when just heading to classes in the hallway, I make sure to talk to students from all different grades. Hopefully what I do will make others feel a sense of belonging, like I had felt on that overcast day next to the lake at Camp Burney, and that those students will repay these actions by helping others, and the cycle of being part of a team will continue.
Oh no. Hey, Dr. Abate, should I bring a pencil with my piece of paper outside? Yep, that's how I started my very first day at Willow in 6th grade. I asked the teacher if I should have brought a pencil with my blank sheet of paper outside in none other than English class. You would think that such a short and annoying memory would be erased from my brain in the next week or so, yet here it is, 2.5 years later, still vividly present in my mind. I mean, seriously, what kind of kid asked such an absurd question to bring a pencil with a blank sheet of paper to take notes on? Apparently me, and as much as I would like to forget about it, it always comes back. I've I've been told while writing this speech that apparently I asked the same question many more times to Dr. Amate throughout the 6th grade. And while that doesn't surprise me, I only remember doing it this once. I think what makes this stick in my head the most isn't what I said, but how my brand new classmates reacted to what I said. These are the people that I'm going to have to spend the next 3 years of my life with, and that's how I made the first impression of myself. I remember after that moment passed, the rest of the day was just kind of miserable for me because I couldn't move past the moment. But then, right at the end of the day, it hit me. Not one other student in the class mentioned it, not even a small joke. After realizing this, I then thought, well, maybe these other kids just didn't mention it because they barely knew me. But even then, that's better than kids going out of their way just to make fun of you for their own enjoyment, right? Once I realized this, I was kind of happy because before coming to Willow at my old school, kids would easily make fun of someone for saying something like that. They would bother you about it for the rest of the day nonstop. Then another thought hit me. Maybe these kids are just nice, which I later found out they were. Then the final thought hit me. Maybe I could work together with them sort of like a team. What would I bring to this team? 3 years later, I'm still trying to figure that part out. But one thing I know for sure is that I won't need a pencil.
My entire focus was on getting Callisto. It was 3rd grade, and my science class just found out we were going to papier-mâché models of our solar system. While most kids were focused on making the sun or Mars, my head went roughly 390 million miles from Earth to Jupiter's second biggest moon, Callisto. To avoid conflict, which was pretty hard to avoid in our class, we each had to write a brief explanation of whichever planet, star, or in my case, moon, that we wanted to papier-mâché. And I was determined, and I mean laser-focused, on getting Callisto. I wrote pages upon pages regarding Callisto's beauty, facts about its icy cratered surface, and how my older sister made the same one 2 years ago. I found out later no one else chose to write about Callisto. I could have simply written, "I want Callisto," on a single sheet of paper and gotten it. Nonetheless, since I got it, I was happy and wasted no time getting to work. With almost all art projects, I start off with the most beautiful image in my head about what it's going to look like. And for some reason, it never turns out the way I imagined. However, I really took my time on this one and was excited for everybody to see Callisto. I was ready. Everything from writing poems, to stories, to covering Callisto in sparkles, to show how the sun reflects off the ice of its heavily cratered surface, I did it all. I clearly remember stepping into the hallway for the first time, after weeks of our class working on these planets, expecting Callisto to outshine them all. However, it was the solar system as a whole that looked incredible. And shockingly, it wasn't mine that stood out in the groups, or anyone's for that matter. It was simply the solar system, a perfect balance of shapes, colors, and sizes. And although to this day I could still tell you how perfect Callisto was and spout off some facts, it was never really about that. The solar system would be boring with just one thing in it, no matter how much that thing sparkled. But what Callisto did do was reflect the sun from the window in the hall, bringing the light to all the other planets, and that's how I added to our solar system as a whole. Walking back into the classroom that day, it was clear that the solar system and all of our planets hanging together demonstrated the extensive effort our class put into this project. And going home that day, I was very proud of my accomplishment. I made Callisto. I was able to mold the image I had in my head into reality, and I was really happy with how it turned out. However, unexpectedly, what I was most proud of wasn't Callisto. It was what we accomplished together, as a team, a beautifully balanced solar system.
Willow has prepared us in ways others might have trouble imagining. We have learned not only academically, but socially. Our small community led us to create a bond with each other, which is so connected. Each member of our class, for example, has learned throughout the many or few years we have been together what each of our weaknesses and strengths are. Half of the class has been here since kindergarten, and the rest joined years later, but to someone who doesn't know this, it would seem that we have known each other forever. Our team as individuals is nothing compared to how strong we are together. We have adapted to each other, which will help us in high school. It is difficult to imagine our lives without seeing each other daily, but we have learned and grown from where we started off in middle school, and a big part of that was our class. Though our class is quite small, When needed, we can come together and make something amazing, for example, this year's banner. As we leave Willow, we will always keep our memories in a special place. Individually, we have just ourselves, but together, we are a team.